You guys, a while back, one of my coworkers found a piece of paper on the floor and she picked it up, read it, showed it to me. I read it, and then I was like, let me take a picture of that because I feel like it's going to be helpful for me in the future. It was helpful for me to process something that I just so happened to be going through at the time. In addition, I felt like it would be one of those things that once I read it, it'll put me in a reflective mode. And after a reflective mode, I'll either journal or make a video about it. And I forgot about that entirely. As I scrolled through my camera roll, thousands of items trying to clean it, I stumbled upon it again and I reread it and I said, oh my God, I forgot that I had so much planned with this. And some of it took place, but some of it didn't. And looking back at it, I remember the conclusion I drew when my coworker found the piece of paper. I was like, this person is either in therapy, recovering from an emotionally abusive relationship, or this was their way of writing it. But from my perspective, I think it's very clear that maybe they're going to therapy to recover from something, or this is conclusions that they have drawn. But the way that it's structured, to me, it suggests that this was guided for our customer. She or he either got this in therapy or something online inspired them. It is enumerated 1 through 16. The first one is your anger is not responsibility. To me, that sounds like a gaslighter. Whenever something you say upsets the other person, when it's not supposed to upset them, it's supposed to be a mature conversation that you're able to have with this person, that is extremely toxic. And I can tell you that I have been the recipient of that. And recovering from that can be hard because you're already in a difficult situation. But here is this person who you would think is your safe place not doing that. The second one is I cannot control how you feel about me. And that is true. You cannot remote control someone's feelings or say, even if you were to do everything right in the book of kindness and love and affection, you can be delivering, but someone may still not feel you or not value you. You got to get comfortable with that at some point. The third one is I hear what you're saying. And I think that's very important. It shows that this person tried to validate the other person's feelings. And sometimes, especially when you're in an abusive relationship, that can be dangerous because it enables the other person to continue their behavior because they think that you're acknowledging that they're right from their perspective. When all you're saying is, I acknowledge what you're saying, I understand where you're coming from, but it is harmful, or whatever follows. The fourth one is, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I hate that because I think that is a manipulation tactic. When someone says that, I'm sorry that you feel that way, it seems belittling. And the reason to me it seems belittling is because it's as if me feeling the way I feel is wrong. It's not justified. And you're saying that you're sorry that I feel that way because you think that I should feel another way. You fail to realize why I feel the way I feel about whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is that's happening. And you're saying that you lament the fact that I feel that way when things could be different. But I'm like, well, things are not different. So why can't you just get it that I will feel this way? This is how I feel. Why can I not embrace my feelings safely? That's the way I see that one. The fifth one is everything is okay. I think that one is supposed to be a validation. Like when you go through a rocky period in a relationship, it doesn't have to end there. It doesn't mean that you're in chaos, you're in trouble, oh my God, you're headed for breakup or divorce, right? I think what you're trying to say when you say that everything is okay is, yeah, shit happened. However, moving forward, this is what we take away from this experience. This is what doesn't work. This is what worked. Rupture and repair. Moving forward, this is how things are going to be. Everything is fine. We can go back to the way things were. We just need a little bit of forgiveness, and that's it. 6, we both have a right to our own opinions. And I think that is a very important one this day and age, especially politically. But in relationships, you also have to acknowledge that you won't be your partner's mirror. Sometimes I feel like people expect a romanticized version of a partner. Like, you will both think the same politically, you'll think the same when it comes to the community, like what the community needs, what the community wants. You opine the same about interests and hobbies. You're not supposed to mirror the other person, you're supposed to complement them. Say, for instance, if I'm not good about exercising, but you're athletic, I can either be inspired by it or I can continue to support you in your quest at being athletic. I don't have to get in the way of it. If I'm gonna be the couch potato, I don't have to make you turn into a couch potato with me in the same manner that you cannot make me athletic. Even though being athletic is definitely by far the healthy thing to do, if it's not something that I'm not on board with or not there yet, or maybe I am physically active but not to the capacity that you are, it doesn't mean that either of us is wrong with being that way. It just means that we're in different spectrums when it comes to that. So when it comes to having your own opinion, I think you certainly need to hang out with someone who's going to always be calm and gentle about whatever you think and whatever you say and whatever you believe in. And don't negotiate that. Like, it's okay to have different opinions, but if someone tries to make you feel a certain way about the way you opine, that is a clown. You don't have time for that. You don't. Number 7, I can accept how you feel. Again, that is a form of validation. Very important. It's very similar to the one where you acknowledge someone feels the way they feel. I hear what you're saying. Number 8, I don't like how you are speaking to me, so I will not engage. And that is very valid, a very important thing to note. Sometimes there are people who feel like the way to tell the truth is to scream it. And the way I respond to that is, truth doesn't yell or scream. It convinces. When someone gets angry, I look at it as you're offended about something. And if you're severely offended, you already got work to do. The optimal way to be, in my opinion, speaking from experience, is be impossible to offend. And you guys know that I have been preaching that for about 3 years now. And it's the truth. I totally swear by it. If you are impossible to offend, you'll be able to sit through anything, endure anything. Let it be the difficult lecture, let it be your illness diagnosis, let it be that your loved one, something happened to them. Whatever. You are an adult. You shouldn't have to be having overreactions. So when you get to the point of anger, I think anger is a valid emotion. Don't get me wrong, I get pissed off here and there. But the way that you let it out is what matters to me. If you're angry about something, but you cannot cordially address it with someone, that's already lost territory. You shouldn't address someone angrily. I think that you can experience anger in private, like to yourself. You're frustrated, you're angry about something, but you're not going to take it out on the world. And even if a person is the source of your anger, it is much better to address it in a healthy, mature, calm way than to be explosive about it, because at that point, nobody wants to hang out with you. And I know that is something that I have to work with, especially at work, because there are times when I get frustrated by something and I explode at my manager, but at the same time, I have told him before, I think the reason I get this way, it's because I'm not mad at you. I'm not reacting this way because of you. You can make that distinction. And I need to let out this negative energy I built up so that I can go out there and have a fresh start. But also, I feel like when I'm able to indulge in my emotion at the time, that is the source of my power. My emotions, seriously, can be the thing that guide me. And I acknowledge that it's not in a destructive way. Like, I will sound angry. I will speak in a angry tone because that is the way that I know how to emphasize something at the time. And I don't get upset when, boom, one offense happens. I get angry when this is something that has been continuous and it hasn't improved and it keeps affecting me and I keep having shit days as a result of this not being addressed. That is the only time I explode because I'm in a powerless position. If I had the position of power, I know how I would fix that shit. But because I don't, I'm at a conflict with how I don't want to overstep some boundaries. But these boundaries have to come down because of how it affects me. That's what I mean. So anger that is not directed at someone, but you feel it and it is the source of your power, I think that's fine. When you use your anger to actively hurt somebody directly, I think that is when anger is wrong. Number 9, I am not going to argue anymore. This is a very fair and valid point. If it gets to the point where everything that you say to somebody is nothing but an argument after another, just be like, okay, this is going to be a pending conversation. Just so you know, we haven't resolved anything. Let's schedule when would be a good time for us to talk. Like literally, use a calendar and schedule it. And if for some reason they don't follow through, that's how you know that it is their issue, not yours. Whenever someone says, yeah, we'll talk about this, we'll go over this, blah, 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 and then the time comes and nothing happens, or they keep postponing it, this and that, that is a demonstration of their immaturity, of their emotional shortcomings. In my experience, I thrive in those conversations because I know that those conversations, in my experience, when they're processed healthily, I grow, I learn, I become a more confident person. So sometimes I like to have difficult, negative conversations because it excites me. I know something is going to come out of that. But when it gets to a point where I'm not looking forward to it because of how unproductive it is, that's how I know that there is an issue. And I hate it when I encounter someone who doesn't see it that way. They think that any fights, any arguments, anything negative is a stressful experience. And I'm like, the only reason this is a stressful experience is because it hasn't had the opportunity to be the productive discussion it needs to be. Why do you think that is? Maybe it's as if you don't listen. It's as if you interject right when I'm trying to get to the point where everything would be clarified, the climax of it. You need an exposition, a rising action, a climax, a descending action, and then the conclusion. But you start getting upset at the rising action, and that's when you walk out of the conversation. Therefore, you miss out on the climax, descent, and the conclusion, which would have been the repair, the solution, the healing. So you don't get to say that talking to me is a shitty experience when you don't even last through it, when it could be a healthy thing. I know how to turn a negative discussion into a healthy one because I have been guided, I have been counseled, I have gone through that process, I have done the things that you haven't done to construct on yourself. So no, you're not getting ready to emotionally manipulate me into thinking that I'm the crazy one. No. Your lack of development in your early years are the problem here. That is not something that I skipped. And that's why you be seeing some adults out here roaming around with no regulation. So please, if you ever meet someone like that and you have done your job, your work of self-work, self-building, self-improvement, it is not you who is the issue. Don't let anybody make you feel like you are. That is a trap that I fell into for years. And it wasn't until I just woke up one day and blew up and decided I would have control over everything because I know what the fuck and who the fuck I am. Shit did not get better for me until I did that. Please, don't feel trapped. Number 10, I am capable of doing what I want regardless of what you think. And that is a very valid point. Unfortunately, it is possible that you may end up with someone who casts a lot of doubt upon you. I won't know unless I try. Why is it that I'm a guaranteed failure? Don't try to feed into someone's limitations. The only way I would encourage that is if someone is thinking about doing something, but it may interfere with something else going on in their lives that they need to consider. For instance, if someone is going to indulge in a job that's like 12 hours long and they have a child and they are a single parent, then maybe be like, hey, I understand you need money, but the situation you're about to put yourself through is not ideal because now you're going to have no time for your child. And neglecting a child has A, B, C, D consequences, traditionally. So, do you have a solution for that? The person may say, yeah, or the person may be like, no, I don't have a solution for that, but I just don't see the way. At least engage them, but don't try to be like, no, you can't do something, period. Because no, if you're going to try to talk negative to someone about why they can't or shouldn't do something, you need to be ready to back up why you're saying that. Not because no, because nah, I just can't see you doing it. Okay, why? You being negative has to be coming from somewhere. Are you just being someone who actively likes to deny things to people, or do you actually have solid evidence that you can be like, I think that is a bad idea because of this, that, and the other? If someone cannot break it down for you like that, don't listen to them. Number 11, I understand. Number 12, we can agree to disagree. That is pretty simple. It goes back to respecting opinions. 13, I see where you're coming from. To me, this list is looking more like phrases to say when you are dealing with someone who is getting upset about something. But it seems to be like intimate conversations. 14, I want to share how I feel. Oh my God, that one makes me so sad because it is very clear that this person needs to use a phrase like that to prepare the other person that, hey, I'm getting ready to say something that you're probably not gonna like, or I'm getting ready to express myself in a vulnerable way. This usually doesn't go well between us. So I'm giving you the heads up. It sucks. It really, really sucks when you have to give someone a preamble like they're a child. I understand that if you gotta beat around the bush to a child, but to an adult, you gotta prepare them for the news that you're getting ready to deliver or the feelings you're getting ready to express, something like that. That is so petty. I hate that. Hate it. It is a clear sign of what they describe as arrested development. You did not finish developing. That is so stupid. And I know people like this. I have gone through this. That's why I get angry. 15, your perspective is interesting. And I sometimes feel like something like that is what you need to throw at people like this because their ego is so fragile that if you don't phrase it as, oh, your point of view is interesting, the way you see it is something I didn't consider before. If you don't say those things to validate them, boom, you ended them. It's like their existence has been disrupted somehow, and their potential for growth and development has been thwarted. What? And then number 16, the last one is, can we aim to be respectful in our conversation? That one is just pathetic. But unfortunately, it does happen like that. Sometimes it gets to a point where you anticipate that you're going to be continuously disrespected by someone you're engaging with. And again, I really think that is absurd that as adults, this is something that happens. And there simply cannot be no other explanation but you did not get the coaching, intervention, help, assistance, upbringing, whatever that you needed at the time it was due. And now you're an adult out here in the wild, independent, and your relationships go this way because, again, that is a deficit that you have. And you haven't bothered to acknowledge that is a problem, see the problem, and embrace working toward the solution. And when it gets to a point where you feel like you gotta tell someone, hey, can we be nice to each other during this? It's like a kid. Again, to me, I gotta infantilize this and think of the other person as they're just a child because, again, this is something you should be telling children. Like, hey, be nice, be nice. You don't have to scream, you don't have to yell, you don't have to push, you don't have to touch, you don't have to hit, you don't have to argue, blah, blah, blah. That was supposed to be left in your childhood, but no. So there you guys have it. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad I stumbled upon that piece of paper because I can reflect on it now and be like, I can acknowledge I have experienced that. I've gone through it. I've been the recipient of it. And I can validate it. And I'm hoping that this person was able to resolve things or get away from the situation and find that peace that they were clearly seeking. Being in an emotionally abusive relationship is as bad as having a debilitating physical condition. It is bad. It is terrible. But in my experience, I can tell you that what helped me was being loved, respected, accepted, defended by people who cared about me, people who loved me, people who respected me. And sometimes you have to suffer a little bit to find yourself again. And I think that healing process is much more rewarding, quantifiably speaking. The reward after that experience always surpasses the years of damage that you may have endured. So trust the process. And when the healing process begins, embrace it. Okay, that's it. Bye. Let me see who needs me.